Hello, this is Team 10 and this is our application Groovy. Groovy is basically a website that allows users to rank songs from the Spotify API, and they can do either what is called a battle ranker, in which songs are chosen and you have to choose between one or the other, and then after doing a bunch of battles between all the selected songs, it will put the results in a list. Or you could rank them using a tier list, where you could put songs into different tiers, and then you could save the image from either the tier list or the battle ranker and then share the results. What do we do in order to make Groovy? Well, we use a couple of different technologies. The first technology that we use is React. We use React because it is very easy to allow to make a single page web application. It is also the programming language we have used throughout most of this course and is what our group was most familiar with. The next technology that we use is TypeScript. TypeScript basically adds syntax to JavaScript to allow you to type check all of your variables in your programming. TypeScript basically prevents runtime errors because it allows you to validate the data and make sure it is the correct type. And it also translates the code from TypeScript into JavaScript, and it will throw compile time errors if the types are incorrect. Another technology we used from the course is Redis. Redis is basically a caching software, and it can store and retrieve data easily. Another technology we use is Redis. Redis is a caching software that allows us to store and retrieve data easily. How we use Redis in Groovy is we store the results from the Spotify API calls we make. So when you're searching for an artist, for example, on Groovy, it will store the data that it gets from searching the Spotify API. If that same search is then made again on Groovy, it will pull from the cache instead of repeating the same API call. So Redis allows us to load the page quicker on repeated searches, and it also allows us to avoid making unnecessary Spotify API calls that we have already made. We also use two independent technologies in order to make Groovy. The first independent technology is ImageMagick. ImageMagick allows us to create images based on the user data in this case being the rankings that the user has for the songs. So after a tier list is made or a ranking is finished, we allow the user to download the image and share it on social media, and it will create this image based on those results.
So as part of our project, we have our entire code base hosted on Vercel, including the front end and the back end. So the Vercel environment is configured to have certain environment variables already set up, so that way you don't have to bring your own environment variables or make your own Spotify developer account. So if you go to this link, it should also be in the project README. You can use this application in its entirety. For testing though, on the local machine. All right, so now we will get started with using our application. First things first, before you can do anything, you have to authorize with your Spotify account. We provided login information in the README because for a developer account, you can only log in with one specific account. So please log in with that when you're grading. So now that we're logged in, we can start to search for an artist. Here I will search for Kendrick. And this will send a query to the Spotify API and show artists that match that query and other related artists. So here we can see the first result is Kendrick Lamar, obviously. And on this card, we have like a couple of details. We have Spotify or URLs to the artist on Spotify, information about their genres follower count. If we click here, we can go to the artist profile page that we made. So here we have an image, name, obviously, main genre, a link to Spotify, and then we also have a listing of the top albums. And all of this data and any data throughout the application that comes from Spotify, we cache that data with a 1 hour expiration time. This is all cached in Redis, so that way if in the middle of ranking a set of songs or albums, or if you happen to be logged out of Spotify, some data will be able to persist, and also it won't have to be refetched and reloaded every time if you've already recently searched for that data.
Okay, so if we go back to our search page, we can see that recent searches on the client side will be saved. So we searched Kendrick a bit ago, so it'll resave it. And as we can see, it loads very fast because, again, as mentioned, it was in Redis. And then also, there is pagination, but usually you're going to find who you're wanting by the first one, but you can do that if need be, if we can just show that really quick. As you can see, it loads the second page, but we want to go back to the previous page. So let's say we want to now get to the actual functionality of the site, which is the ranking portion. So let's go to like Kanye West, for instance. You'll notice that it takes a while to load. That's just because the API has to fetch a lot, and we have to make sure we're not fetching too much at once. So it's going to take a little bit to fetch. But as we can see now, if I go back, we search for Kendrick again, and we go to Kanye, it's going to immediately pop up because we just did that. So then we have our selection page, which for this artist, it's split into, for every artist, it's going to be split into albums and singles. And as you see, it has every single album, every single single from this artist. And then let's say for the album, right? So you want, let's say you only want to select a certain amount of things, like you don't want to do any of the singles from Kanye. You can just get rid of them like this. Or you want to enable one of them, you can do that. You just click on it, red, bad, green, good, essentially. So you can do the same thing for albums, but let's say we want to enable all of them. And then if there is a indicator here of the arrow, if you click on it, then it shows all the tracks in that album, and then you can like select only some of them or all of them, and you can do the same thing, deselect all, select all. Now, let's get to the actual sorting part. So like, let's say we only want to really rank the songs on graduation. This is going to be important that I'm doing only not a ton of songs in the future, but if we go to the ranker, we have the Kanye West ranker, where we have 54 possible battles. This is because the sorting algorithm is in nlog n. So there's going to be quite a bit of songs to battles to do for songs to rank, depending on how many songs you input. Now that's important just because the fact that like we don't, you want to take into account how many songs you're actually ranking because it might be a lot for this at least specifically. So this is where we have the actual ranker itself, and it will give us two options of songs. So for this one is I Wonder and Stronger, and it gives you the album it's from. So you can either tie, undo, reset, and then you can go back to home if need be. So let's say we would choose I Wonder, right? So that increases our progress and whatnot. So if we just keep like doing like random ones, right, the progress is going to increase. But let's say we made a mistake, like I chose I Wonder instead of Stronger, but I don't like that, so I wanted to go back here. So we could do that. And then also like let's say we've messed up too much, even though we can literally go back to the start. Let's say we've messed up too much and we want to do reset, we could reset. Now, as mentioned before, we do have client-side caching for if you're working on this, and it saves the cache by the key of specifically like what songs you chose. So if you do a different set of, I'll just show. So if we reload this, right, it'll save it. But if we go back to our selection, we need to authorize again, sorry. So we go back here, right, to Kanye. Now, my bad. Now I'll cut that. So like, let's say we want to do Late Registration, which is my favorite Kanye album instead. So we go to ranker. As we can see now, you know, it didn't save it from the other one. It's this one now. And if we reload again, it's going to be good. Now let's just go through all of these, right? Just to show the results page as we can tie, we can tie a bit. So if we go here, after everything's done, we're going to get our list of all the songs. As you see, they pop off. We got Kanye West ranker, and we have every single song. And then also it's going to give you every single battle that we did, which we did 38 battles. Now this is where we get to the part of image magic. A lot of the time this is infeasible. It's a screenshot, or it's going to be very low quality. So what we're going to do is we introduce image magic, so it's high quality images they can do. So like, let's say when I enter the caption yummers, right? So we can save our results. So it's going to be this. Then we can open it, and then again the image is going to be a bit, because there's a ton of songs to rank. As you can see, it's quite large, but as you can see, oh, I went a little too far in, but as you can see, the quality is maintained, and we have every single battle in here, and then every single song, so you can crop this image and then post it to social media. So let's say we don't want to do that though, so we have to authorize again, my apologies, but let's say instead we want to go to Kanye West, and let's say we want to do a tier list. Now, tier list works in the same way where it has client-side caching depending on what songs you input it in. So it's like if you have different songs and you want to do different tier lists, it'll save two separate tier lists of like whatever songs you input. So like, let's say we want to rank the songs on the college dropout and then graduation, and then we go to tier list. And as we can see, it's quite similar to any kind of tier list you've seen. Now, the point of this is because not every single time you see a tier list online, they're going to have the exact one you want. So it's going to have every single song, and it's going to have every single album cover indicating what album it's from. And then we have our tiers, which we can rename. Instead of A tier, it would be like God tier, right? You can rename that, and then it'll like wrap around God tier. Yep. It'll wrap around, and then we can choose the color if we want to change it. We can make it like more white or something, all right? And then we can move our albums or songs onto each one. And as you can see, it expands automatically, need be. And then also, obviously, if we run out of space, it'll then move on to the next one. Now, let's say we don't like one of the tiers. We don't like D tier, right? So we're going to delete it. As we can see, Good Morning goes back into here because that was in the deleted one. And then if need be, if we can add a row, and then it'll put it down here. And we can rename it to be like Trash tier. If you know anything about Kanye, Barry Bonds is a terrible song. So we're going to move it down there. And then let's say this is the only thing we want to do. And the only God tier song is Never Let Me Down. Great song. So again, we can add the caption. Let's do like, yup. So we can save our image again. It always needs the same thing, but again, you can just name it whatever you want. And we have our caption down here. Yup. And then we have our tier list. It saves. So that's pretty much it for our website. This will work for any single artist. That's kind of the point of this, is that like not every single artist, like very obscure artists, might not have tier lists on them or battle rankers. So that's why we open it up to do it on anything on Spotify's API. And we hope you like it.